Hello, everyone, and welcome to This is Manitoba. Today, it is all about budgets and buses. So we're going to hear from the mayor of the city of Winnipeg in reaction to the provincial budget in Manitoba that came down and whether or not he got what he was looking for from the province in terms of funding for projects. But we're going to begin with something else, and that is because sometimes when you're in a broadcast studio, you get these moments that are just glorious. And this happened because the mayor crossed paths with a person who was here to talk about his love of buses. So you're going to have to wait to hear that. But first, let's meet the bus lover. His name is Gavin Johnston. He's 17 years old. And since last summer, the summer of 2024, he's been running 2 Winnipeg Transit fan accounts on Instagram. On one account, he simply shares pictures he takes of city buses here in Winnipeg. But on his second page, a fan account is dedicated solely to the 55 bus route, and it's got tons of people checking it out. His fan page has amassed tens of thousands of views. Here's my conversation with him about the love of the bus. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
I loved your account on the 55. I clicked on it this morning and I had a good it made me smile.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit first, where does the 55 route go again?
Between downtown, just not far from here on Sherbrooke, and it goes to St. Vital Center by either Meadowood or Dakota.
Okay. So how did this idea to, how'd you fall in love with the route and how did this idea translate to putting it on Instagram?
I used to ride the route a lot when I was younger. With my grandma, we used to take the bus, the 55, whenever we would go to the mall if we didn't want to walk there, especially during the winter and it was slippery and all. So we used to take the 55 or go downtown. We would take the 55, and it just to be right there, right outside my apartment building. And so go outside 55. It was always there. So, and I just fell in love with not just the route, but buses in general. Just the overall, just everything about buses, the sounds that they make, the doors opening, and all of that, and just the engines. Everything about buses is just I love it.
So some of what I can describe it, but I should ask you to describe it. Tell me about some of the photos and memes that you post in your account.
I mean, most of them are just templates that I've seen on other pages and stuff. But there are some that I've custom made myself. Like I know there was one that was like kind of I found a picture of a decommissioned bus that was like had some parts missing. And so I was like, oh, like too bad for you. I'm building my own 55 kind of meme of sorts. So I did that, and that was pretty cool. So
yeah, I was saying how much your account made me smile. I mean, you've got memes of like Family Guy, Peter looking out the window, except it's the 55. It's like from Winnipeg. You've also got shots of buses, just as you said. There's something about buses that attracts you. You've got the old orange buses. It's not all just the new ones that are white. What reaction have you had on the threads that are on your Instagram?
Most of them have been really positive. I have gotten a lot of followers. There was, of course, that one 55 reel that blew up with the "You just got 55" St. Anne's. That was what really, I had about 100-ish followers, and then I posted that. Didn't expect that to go anywhere, and then all of a sudden I have so many followers, so many likes and stuff, and people loved it. And I was like, wow, okay.
So can you elaborate on that post then specifically, that reel that you posted and what you posted?
Yeah, I just decided that, I have all these clips of the 55 that I've recorded. And so I was like, oh, I might as well, I'm going to do something with it and put them in this little meme video or something. Didn't really know what was going on. And I remember seeing a video of something. It was actually a hockey video that I remember sped up clips with that song. And so I was like, okay, what if I just do that with the 55 just because why not?
And it took off.
Yeah, it did. Didn't expect it to, but it did.
Now, what reaction have you had from people when they find out you're the person behind the page? Are there other people that love the 55? I'm just curious. Or is it friends and family that go, oh, it's you doing this?
I mean, most of them is just there were the instance that one of my classmates at school, they had discovered it because I was drawing on a little whiteboard.
Okay.
The Winnipeg Transit logo that I've just memorized with the flying T.
Really?
And they were like, "You know
Okay.
that from memory?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And they discovered it, and someone brought up, I was like, "You've seen this fan page just talking about the 55 all the time." And I was like, "Oh, hold on." And I pull out my phone, and I'm like, "Look at this. I run this page." And they're like, "Yo, that's so cool." And that made me feel like really special because it's like no one's ever. I love talking about buses, and a lot of people usually, if they're not as into buses as I am, so they don't really want to hear me talk about buses, and they're like, "Dude, go find a better hobby." And I'm like, "No, I like it."
I love that you can draw the Winnipeg Transit bus logo by memory. I heard you'd like to be a driver in the future, right?
Yeah, that is one of the goals that I'm doing. I just got my learner's license, so I'm in the process of working my way up to transit.
Were you a little kid that loved this, and you know what I mean, or did this kind of so always from when you were younger, hearing that and the doors opening was a thing for you?
Especially the little scraper that they have by the door. So if the bus got too close to the curb, you hear like that kind of sound of it rubbing against the curb. That was one of the sounds of the buses. I just really love everything about it.
Has anyone from Transit ever reached out to you? I'm just curious, Gavin.
Not that I know of. No, like, as far as I can tell, none of the official Winnipeg Transit pages have followed me. There's been a lot of other bus pages throughout the city that have like contacted me and stuff. There's this one guy I know that I'm friends with, and he's one of my inspirations for making bus content.
Yeah.
So he's really cool, a great guy, and he has a lot of followers. So he's kind of his pictures inspired me. And
normally, when people are sitting here, they're complaining about transit service. Is the truth, talking about that, and some of the complaints are fair and have challenges with transit. But it's interesting to hear you show your appreciation in this way. How do you frame that for yourself? Have you ever had problems with transit?
Very rarely. I mean, for me, buses are just a positive experience for me. I love buses, so it's maybe just like bias. I love buses in any situation, but
we might have buried the lead here because starting this summer, of course, we're getting the huge overhaul of our system. It does mean that your beloved 55, I think, is going to not be there anymore.
I know. It's so sad. I want to ride it the last day. I think it's June 28th, and I'm going to be on that bus just ride the 55.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to get some attention now, and probably Transit's going to reach out after they hear the interview. But also because the mayor of the city of Winnipeg just happens to be in studio sitting across from Gavin. Scott Gillingham is here for our regular monthly interview. You checked out his Instagram, right?
Oh, it's fantastic. This is a great Instagram account. The one reel he's talking about, it has almost 195,000 views. So, no, this is fantastic to hear Gavin, his story, his passion for transit, and his experiences with transit. It's just a wonderful story.
Yeah. You got to retire. When 55's retired, you should make a pitch, Gavin, that you get some kind of memorabilia. I don't know if there'll be a number or something. Most of it's digital, so who knows?
Yeah. I used to have a collection of bus routes, those old bus schedules that they made. And when I was moving recently last year, they got lost somewhere. But I'm sure one of my goals is maybe to get, probably impossible, but one of my friends did it. So maybe get a bus stop with the number 55 on it.
Oh, yeah.
Which I actually went and got a picture of yesterday. So maybe we'll see.
I can't think of a better person to be either gifted that or somehow to get that to, just given your love of this. Fun interview and really fun what you're doing, and lovely that you're into the photography as well and appreciation in that way. People can check out Gavin's page online on Instagram. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's Gavin Johnston, the 17-year-old behind Winnipeg Transit 55 fan page. It is on Instagram, so it's at Winnipeg Transit, WPG Transit 55 fan is where you can find it. Well, let's move to much more serious matters. Mayor Scott Gillingham is in studio with us, as you heard. Thanks for being here today. Nice to see you.
Glad to be here. And I know some people at the City of Winnipeg, so I think we could try to help Gavin out.
I was going to say, it's very fortuitous timing for Gavin to try to get that sound. Bye, Gavin. Take care. So interesting, though. I've never in my life done an interview with someone that was, I love his genuine interest of buses. I
completely agree. And for so many people, transit is their only way to get around the city, or it's the way they choose to get around the city. And, as you were just talking about with Gavin, There's so much to celebrate in transit, really, because we have dedicated drivers who are doing excellent jobs every day of the week, and we're going to make that big transit switch, as you said, at the end of June, and that'll be really a transformative change, positive change to our transit network.
Let's talk about the budget. Came down yesterday from the province. Obviously, a lot in there, covered a lot of issues, and also kind of anticipating things. So Manitoba's response to tariffs was one thing. New infrastructure plans, there was relief for local businesses. Overall, what were you watching for from a City of Winnipeg point of view, and did you get it?
Our priority of the City of Winnipeg is to get that North End treatment plant built, funded and built. That's critical for the future of the city. We need it to add homes, add businesses, to protect Lake Winnipeg and our rivers. I was really pleased to see that the province did announce their commitment to increase their funding for Project 2. That's vital, and so I was glad to hear that.
In terms of what's happening with the business community and the response to tariffs, what's your reaction to that? What are you hearing from the business community right now as a mayor?
They're concerned. Many businesses are watching the tariffs. There is going to be an impact in the city of Winnipeg. There's already an impact that tariffs are having on our businesses. Some people are, looking at how they hold on to cash. That means they may not be investing. There's a bit of a cool in some ways, on future investment right now of businesses. And so any relief for businesses is welcome relief.
Payroll tax going to be reduced, but we actually had an industry analyst from manufacturing in earlier this hour that said, while that's a good thing in his view, he wants a longer term commitment. That it's kind of a problem in Manitoba, as he framed it. It's a challenge because things happen, and while he said governments he appreciates have 4-year terms, the business community really needs give me longer that guarantees that the payroll tax will either continue to be reduced. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I know that businesses have been calling for that for many years, and what we as governments have to do and look at is find ways to create the environment that encourages business and supports business. And so I think any relief for businesses right now, especially at this time, is really, really critical. We at the City of Winnipeg, we're looking at how we can create the kind of environment that enables businesses to be successful. In fact, in my State of the City address just last week, I talked about the fact that we have to focus in Winnipeg on making Winnipeg a safer place, because there's a direct link between safety and the perception of safety and thriving business environment.
I want to ask about some projects, because Premier Wab Kinew, as we've been hearing, said the theme of the budget was build. So I'm wondering about provincial funding for things that Winnipeggers might be wondering about. Arlington Bridge, Keniston Boulevard widening, Chief Peguis extension. What did you see there?
Nothing at this point, but the Chief Peguis extension and Route 90 projects, those are projects that we're getting reports from our staff on in later on this year. What we're going to do is take these value for money analysis, these reports, go to the provincial and federal governments as partners, because we would need the federal and provincial governments to be partners to fund those projects. But Marcy, those are really vital projects. Route 90 and Chief Peguis are important infrastructure projects for our economy, for the growth of our city, for the growth of business. We have a clip to play for you, actually, so we're going to get you to pop the headphones up there, Mayor, and turn that gray knob. This was during a luncheon last week. I know that you said, we covered this, you wanted people working in person again for the city. So QP Local 500 President Gord Delbridge filed a policy grievance and said this during an interview on our afternoon show yesterday.
I would say, hey, we're open to some open dialogue. We'd like to find some resolve on this. Let's do what's best for the taxpayers and the citizens of Winnipeg. Let's find out what the costs and implications are. Let's not just speculate and put forward a rash decision based on personal opinion or something you've heard from a couple business owners, but listen to the workers too.
Can you back up, what makes this, in your view, not a rash decision, and why you believe that this is beneficial for city workers to be in person?
Well, first of all, I would say Mr. Delbridge has been good to work with. I appreciate the dialogue we have had. This is a conversation I want to have with our new CAO about having our staff come back to the office 5 days a week. We have made a change. Our interim CAO, Mr. Sherwood Armbruster, has worked to bring our staff back to the office at least 3 days a week, and he says there's been positive results. For example, there have been times in the past year where we have supervisors working from home. I just don't see how a supervisor can effectively manage their staff remotely. I believe that people are more effective in the office, for collaboration, for problem solving, for team work that is critical. And at the end of the day, what this is first and foremost about is it's about delivering the highest level of customer service and fostering collaboration. And I truly believe that that's easier, when teams are in the same place. So we'll talk to the new CAO when that individual is hired. We've also been hearing from businesses, especially businesses in the downtown, and having workers back in the office helps their business. And we're at a time right now when there's a lot of vulnerability in the business environment, as we just talked about, because of trade and tariffs. And so we really need to do all we can to both, first of all, deliver excellent customer service, and then certainly help our businesses in the city.
You heard Delbridge there, though, asking for sort of, numbers, data to prove that productivity is reduced. Because it's one thing to say that you've heard from people and such, but I mean, there's also other national advocates that will pull out data and say workers are just as productive, if not more productive at home, and flexibility is the way of the future. So how do you balance that?
Well, it's one of those things, respectfully, where, there's different measurements. And so, sometimes will they survey the workers? Are you working better from home? With all due respect, if I want to be at home, I'm going to say, yes, I'm being more productive at home. So if there's ways we can have dialogue and get true kind of independent data to show that's fine. But I think, at the end of the day, first and foremost, the excellent public servants, the City of Winnipeg, that work for the City of Winnipeg, the job is public service. So either directly, frontline working with the public, or supporting others to make sure we're working with the public. The goal of every employee at the City of Winnipeg and every elected official is to serve the citizens of Winnipeg to the highest degree, and we have to make sure that first and foremost the public is getting the service they deserve. Just
before we leave this topic, the Premier actually said something similar some months ago around the idea of those who supervise, in wanting those who supervise to be in person. Why not just make this then supervisors need to be back in person?
It's easier to supervise your people if your people are in person. I just think from maybe I'm old school, and that's fine.
So some of this is ideology.
Well, for sure it's ideology, but it's also experience as well. I mean, during the pandemic, I worked from home, like so many other people worked from home. I found it's much more effective to be in the office, collaborating with others, working with others in person to deliver services for the people of Winnipeg, and certainly at a time when our business community needs all of us there for them. I think that also having people back in the office assists local businesses.
7:55 on CBC. Mayor Scott Gillingham in with us live here in studio this morning. I want to move to a vote recently. So EPC voted to increase garbage fees, adding property tax and proposed sewer rate increases as well. These are obviously record property tax increases. What do you say to Winnipeggers who are just getting concerned about everything piling up?
Well, it's one of the reasons that some of the proposed increases I didn't support. Our staff brought forward a report that would increase sewer fees by $1,000 a year ultimately within 3 years. I said that's just too high. We can't do that. So we're working right now on a proposal to approve 1 year of sewer rate increases for 2025, and then find a way to basically amortize the North End plant project over many years so that we can kind of mitigate the impact and reduce the impact of sewer rates. So that's important. We are right now also, unfortunately, we're at this time when I keep using the analogy that kind of a pin has been pulled on the grenade and kept getting passed from council to council on some of these issues that haven't been dealt with, that previous provincial governments didn't deal with, federal governments didn't deal with, and most previous councils didn't deal with. And now they're all coming on us at the same time, and that is the North End plant, the waste management fee, and then also the need for some higher revenue.
You're talking about over time, these costs spreading out. Councillor Ross Eady from Menarski has been pushing for rate increases over the next 10 years. Will you go that far out?
Oh, in fact, for the North End plant, it's not the 10 years. We're looking to work to find funding for the third phase. It's a $1.5 billion phase.
Garbage fees, property taxes, that kind of stuff.
But for the third phase specifically, we're looking at not just 10 years, but like 20, 30, 40 years. So a longer term amortization is very important so that it's not all paid for in the next 3 to 4 years.
What about those daily fees, though, those garbage fee things, or can you spread any of that out? How much can you mitigate the costs that Winnipeggers will feel immediately?
Well, on the garbage fees, I think it's important to remember, first of all, we took a look at, can we spread this out? And in the long term, it would cost the people of Winnipeg more. And so we don't want to put that additional longer term burden.
Why would it cost us more?
Because it would cost us more in interest. For garbage fees right now, what's happened is there's been a bit of a borrowing, and so to pay it out over longer time, we would pay millions more. The residents of Winnipeg would pay millions more in interest when they really don't need to. But for that waste management fee, first of all, we're one of the last major cities in Canada to go to a fee for service. And with that fee, residents, yes, it's an increase, but residents are getting weekly pickup of garbage and recycling, some composting at community centers, leaf and yard waste management fee. Instead of having to pay $60 every time your cart gets broken, that fee will be covered. There's also garbage pickup, other temporary garbage pickup in certain locations for that. So there's several services residents are getting for that fee.
Thank you very much for covering all the ground with us this morning in our monthly interview, Mayor, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
That is the Mayor of the City of Winnipeg, Scott Gillingham. Well, I'm Marcy Markusa, and this is Manitoba. And thanks for leaning in and tuning in today with your earbuds, or maybe you were listening on the bus and smiling ear to ear. I really hope someone on Bus 55 was listening today. At any rate, don't forget to like, follow, and share.